Star Wars with Gaten Matarazzo. We play with the props from Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, plant a flag on Mount Everest, and much more.
Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the only Star Wars show that is changing things up for its 5th season in 2020.
See, normally we'd be tossing to the news, and we sure have a lot to discuss since we've last spoken back in 2019, but I think the most important bit of news is us.
You always think that. But we don't mean the two of us, we mean more of like the royal us, the Star Wars show us. However, you may have noticed something missing, and that's the news.
Well, that was intentional. The news, as you've known it on this show, isn't necessarily going away, but it's changing.
See, the Star Wars show will still have reveals and first looks, but the weekly news section is being moved out of this show and into its own brand new weekly series called This Week in Star Wars.
It's our very first spin-off, and like all spin-offs, it has brand new faces to get to know.
Now, Andy and myself will still be part of the Star Wars show proper, but StarWars.com's Kristen Baver will be taking over delivering the news to you every week.
Yay!
Yay!
It's Kristen.
Did you call me? Did you guys call me?
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Now, eagle-eyed fans will already know Kristen's face from countless interviews and news articles on StarWars.com, her Clone Wars rewatch series, and a couple of appearances on the Star Wars show in the past.
And who better to helm the news show than one of the people writing the news in the first place?
That's right. Beginning tomorrow and every Thursday thereafter, I will be hosting This Week in Star Wars, bringing you the Star Wars news and information you crave in a quick and snappy rundown of the week that was in Star Wars.
But that's not all you're doing.
That's true. I'm also going to be appearing as a moderator every now and again on the Star Wars show during the new roundtable segments, leading the discussions with the creators and personalities that make Star Wars. Which also means since I'm moderating this month, I guess I should probably go.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
Sure.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye, Kristen! And much like bringing Kristen on to take over the news, you'll be seeing more faces from around the company than just the two of us hosting events, doing field packages, etc.
The more the merrier, as they say. That's what they say. New year, new show, and the more the merrier. Those are the two things they say. So that brings us to the biggest change to the Star Wars show, and that is the move from once a week to once a month.
Which also means that the Star Wars show will have the room and time needed to make even bigger and better episodes while still delivering new and breaking news on the internet every week.
And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of fun stuff planned for 2020.
So, to recap, a new episode of the Star Wars show will air on the last Wednesday of every month, and our new show, This Week in Star Wars, will air every week on Thursday beginning tomorrow.
Thought 2019 was wild? Get ready for 2020 because we're about to get weird.
Real weird.
Buckle up, baby.
Gonna be a wild ride.
We'll be right back. Hey, Kristen, you want this so bad? Take it.
Ewoks, the musical. Ewoks, see them like you've never seen them before. Ewoks, feel every confusing emotion. The theatrical award-eligible experience, in a word, Ewoks. Ewoks at the Galaxy's Opera House. Get your tickets today.
Very thrilled to be joined in the studio this week by Gaten Matarazzo.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you because I think any day now, Stranger Things is going to become huge for you.
Maybe one day.
I think it's
At some
gonna.
point.
If you stick with it long enough, I think
so.
it'll pay
It
off.
has to get some momentum.
I mean, obviously, everybody loves this thing, and something that I look at. You're 17, yeah?
Yes.
You're 17, and part of your job is to go real deep on pop culture that
Oh, yeah.
40-year-olds are
Oh,
into.
yeah.
Is that something that you enjoy, or is that something that you're kind of like, I'd rather be like digging into my own stuff? Or
Good portion of it I really enjoy. And honestly, I'm so used to it at this point. I've been diving into that side of pop culture since I was 12. I was cast when I was 12 years old. Oh my God, it's been a while.
the 17-year-old is sitting next to me and lamenting the passage of time.
no.
That's cool. I feel fine. I feel fine.
No, but like to me, it feels like yesterday. That's why.
Yeah.
I have a love of old games, of old video games.
Bless your heart.
Oh yeah, I'm great at Pac-Man. I love Galaga.
So you're big into old games.
Yeah.
You're big into old films. Were you a Clone Wars kid before you got into Stranger Things?
Oh yeah. Well, I hadn't watched Clone Wars much until after it had ended.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
sure.
Is that like I watched A New Hope when I was 4.
Nice.
I was 4 years old.
You have
like,
good
first time I
parents.
was 4. Yeah. I watched it once and I was like, man. Seriously, I was like, man. And I was 7. I was 7 years old, and my uncle from Michigan, my mom's twin brother, came down for the summer, and he educated me. And he was like, all right, sit down. And I've been obsessed ever since. And then my mom's like, you ready to watch Empire? I'd seen A New Hope like 8 times. I'm like, what's Empire? And then she played it. I was like, there's more. And then I was open to this huge world. After I got older and like studied movies and became obsessed and watched them over and over again. And like, I've got like I don't even know how many toy lightsabers I got for Christmases and birthdays over the years. I got Obi-Wan's. I learned how to like swing around the lightsaber, and I would watch Ewan McGregor do all like his fancy, like the Annie-Obi. I know like how to do all the fancy moves and stuff.
So you're good. So you can kind of do a little bit of it,
yeah.
yeah?
Oh, you have no idea. Well, the thing is, I would go outside and like by myself and just pretend I was a Jedi Knight all by myself, and I would take out swarms of stormtroopers, and it was time of my life. And I just like learned how to like swing it around and like keep balancing stuff.
The original trilogy, when I was a kid and we were watching the original trilogy, it had not gotten quite as choreographed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I used to go outside as a kid and do the angry Luke, the angry crying Luke.
Return of the Jedi.
I'd be like slamming
right?
down.
Oh, it's the best. That's my favorite lightsaber duel, is the end of Return. Because as much as Empire is just pivotal, there's so much raw emotion. Mark's performance in that duel is just so good.
It's so good.
It's just like, and you can see him feel angry. You can see like he's tempted.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love about Star Wars as a whole. It's just, and I love about Luke specifically, and why I think Luke is just one of the greatest characters written in cinema history. It's just that he's a hero, sure, and he always fights for good and fights for justice, but he's tempted.
Yeah.
Like anybody would be.
I love that. You were into the OT, even though you could have very easily been a kid that had seen the prequels first.
I'm just so glad that I didn't know who Anakin was before I knew who Darth Vader was. If you watch Phantom Menace before you've seen the originals, just who cares about that little kid? And then like you're curious as to like Qui-Gon's so set on training him. I'm like, what happens with Qui-Gon? That's Obi-Wan. He trains Anakin. What happens to Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched it, I'm like, I like Qui-Gon, and I don't know what happens, and I'm not excited to find out.
Yeah.
Going into the prequels, you know it's not going to end well.
Yeah, and I think that's what's fun, is I always like things that go a little darker. That is one of the things that I like about your series too, is it's like, cool, yeah, these are kids,
And
but let's...
It seems as if it's just getting more into that. And as it progresses, it can only get worse.
Right.
From what we've seen and what we know from 3, and just like everything that's been set up, I can't imagine the firestorm that's about to come. I'm so excited for it.
We know that it's coming, we don't know what's
coming.
going on, but...
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're
I
excited?
haven't read it. I have not read it. I don't want to until I get there. I don't know when that is or what it's going to be like, but
You
don't
heard it
wanna
here
know.
first. Actor Gaten Matarazzo will only read his script the moment he
The
gets
moment
to set.
I need to.
The moment
No,
he gets
no,
to
no,
set.
no.
He never prepares. He does no work ahead of time.
It's true.
This kid's just playing Zelda in his trailer.
Yeah,
he says, let me know when I'm supposed to shoot a Stranger Thing. He does work. I didn't mean to. It was a joke. He works very hard. He works very hard. I did want to mention, before we end things here, prank encounters. When I heard prank show, I got a little worried.
I did too.
But this was something totally different. When I watched the first
Yeah.
couple episodes, I was like, yes.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it.
For people that aren't familiar with it, you're doing like real life kind of big budgie like sci-fi and horror stuff.
Yeah, it's sci-fi horror themed. You never can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you go in there and you're like, okay, this is what we should expect, but there are going to be people reacting on instinct, and so you're going to have to be able to think on your feet.
That's excellent, man. It is so much fun. So Prank Encounters and Stranger Things 1, 2, and 3 you can watch on Netflix right now. And then just look right in that camera and tell us when Stranger Things 4 comes out. Just date and time. Just date and time. Just go ahead and you. All right, Gaten Matarazzo, and season 4 is coming out.
It's coming out eventually.
We are joined with Lucasfilm archivist Madeline. You're back.
Hi.
We're so excited because this means that we get to see fun new things from the fun new movies. What do you got for us?
Well, this is a new design for our Sith Trooper. I have a feeling you're going to really enjoy this one. Would you like to pull the trigger?
Yes.
We also have...
Oh, is this for Jet Troopers?
That's hefty.
Yes, this is for the Jet Trooper. This is a projectile launcher. I think this is your new design for your t-shirt cannon, yeah?
Looks like it.
This is a resistance blaster. Andy, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's got the clicky in it.
That's satisfying.
This is Janet's blaster.
It's got like an old 1900s blunderbussy, steampunky thing going with it.
Another character that we see in The Rise of Skywalker who is an oldie but a goodie. I have a feeling you're going to figure it
This
out.
Lando.
For Billy D. It's definitely Billy D has touched this. Of course. Of course Lando has this. Look at the pearl on the handle.
Another pearl inlay. Oh, yeah. So what you're about to see was originally seen in A New Hope.
That's a Dejaric piece.
Phil Tippett, who built the initial Dejaric pieces for A New Hope, he actually researched the original chess pieces to rebuild them for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So now that they've been used in the sequel trilogy, we have them here in the archives. He has an armature built inside for adding mechanisms in order to move them as needed.
Like, that's not one I'm gonna be allowed to touch.
So we've got a handful more.
I'm doing like the childhood field trip to the museum thing where I'm keeping my hands behind my back and clasping them so I don't accidentally reach out.
Oh, this guy, Hujix is his name.
Yes to that guy.
Cool. He's got teeth in his claws.
This is Mentelian Savrip.
Oh, look at his little neck hairs.
Very, very detailed.
So the next item might be one of my favorite props from this film. This is Lando's cane.
Look at my hair go up on end for this. It really did.
He has goosebumps. You
Ooh.
are such a nerd.
That looks so good though.
That's really beautiful. What does the engraving say on it?
The engraving says Baron Landonus Calrissian. If you look at this cane from the side, does that design
Looks
look
like
familiar?
Cloud City.
It's like Cloud City, so this is the homage to Lando being the Baron of Cloud City.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, it does.
Do you feel like a
I
baron?
do feel like a baron, even more so than usual.
This is Janna's quiver full of arrows.
That is so fly.
But I like the texturing on the Stormtrooper piece is really interesting and unique though.
And last but not least,
Oh! Goodness me!
Wow.
this is a heavy blaster for our Sith Trooper.
So that's a very large weapon for normal-sized dudes. That's one way to end this. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing us all these amazing props.
You're watching the Star Wars show.
Hey everyone, I'm StarWars.com's Kristen Baver, and joining me today are Emily Shkukani, Anina Wayless, Pete Vilmer, and Orion Kellogg. 2019 was an amazing feat for everyone at this table and everyone in this company. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about The Mandalorian. And again, I know nobody here at this table worked on The Mandalorian directly,
I
but
can't claim to have worked on it, but I wish I could.
Right.
Mandalorian feels like the Star Wars that exists in my head canon. It's the Star Wars that I've been trying to make.
It was inspired by some of the things that maybe George was inspired by for the first film. You know, your Lone Wolf and Cub, your spaghetti westerns, your samurai movies. All those things mixed into one and delivered in this incredibly awesome package.
I totally agree where it's going back to just kind of like almost narrowing down the scope of Star Wars to be like, my mom calls it, it's just a father and his son traveling the galaxy. Like, yeah, and it's like totally relatable characters where you are in this expansive universe and you have so much backstory to it, but you are just focused on these two characters. And also my mom like does not care about anything Star Wars, and like literally every Thursday, did you watch it yet? Have you watched it? We're gonna watch it. And I'm like, okay. So she's just like in love with it, but I was on the phone, she's like, yeah, it's just like a father and his son. They're just traveling the galaxy. Do, 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 do. Here they go over to this planet. Do, 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 do. And I was like, I'm happy you finally like Star Wars. Well, you're getting into it. So I think it definitely like just cracked open a whole new audience for people who, you know, this is the first time they're seeing Star Wars and that's what they're watching.
let's turn a little bit to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You and your team worked pretty tirelessly to pull this thing together. Can you talk about what your perspective is being on the inside?
You know, the most rewarding part about working on this with so many talented people was that it seems like people did connect with the story. We were on Braca and Bagano and going places people hadn't seen and wrestling with themes that we hadn't wrestled with before. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm really proud of the way the journey ends up and what possibilities there are for Cal in the future.
Can we talk about going to Dathomir?
Sure. Dathomir, I think, looks incredible. You know, it's a space, obviously, we're borrowing from animation and the way that Dave and team brought it to life, and I think that the Respawn team just really fulfilled every ounce of that promise. Fighting the Night Brothers, they're really exciting enemies, a lot of variety there, but then getting to meet a Night Sister is incredible.
Dathomir is important for people who saw the Clone Wars, but if you haven't, you're like, this is a cool planet that I'm on, you know? And you're just like, yeah, that person looks like Maul, like cool, you know? If you have the knowledge to know more about it, you have it, and if you don't, it's not like you're left behind.
And Emily, a big part of your job is also helping to helm and shepherd the continuity on books, publishing, comics. that massive thing that we do here with publishing.
Yeah.
You put out a tremendous amount of books leading up to the Rise of Skywalker. There was the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, which was making some waves.
Yes, it is making some waves. It's still coming out, so
It is.
Yeah,
I don't know how it ends.
Yes, it kind of gets into the backstory of, again, the rise of Kylo Ren, as the title
As
states.
the title
you know?
suggests.
So you see the fall of Ben Solo, which is super cool, but like, I mean, I guess it's super cool if you're into him being Kylo Ren. It's also super sad if you wanted him to be Ben Solo. It's kind of paralleling Anakin's fall. We always look to make those parallels throughout, and that's really a big part of like what the story group does, is like make sure that it all feels like this really big cohesive story, no matter how, you know, small something is, like one issue of the Rise of Kylo Ren.
Yeah, again, I think that's an important part for the folks at home, right? Is like we don't feel as, you know, the content creators I don't think feel restricted by any of the continuity. We don't have to change the story we want to tell. We just have a lot of resources to plug into to tell the story that we want to tell, and it has a lot of richness if we do it right.
So just switching gears to talk about the amazing event and the feat that was the world premiere of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I still feel like a total noob when I come to these things.
This is actually a blue carpet.
This was a blue carpet, you're right, you're right. And this event was really special because not only was it the end of the Skywalker saga, but we also were able to invite 120 fans from all 50 states.
We actually had more like 200 fans that we got to invite, but what was special is we got 120 of them in costume, which is a feat representing all films of the saga and from all 50 states in the United States, as well as a handful from international. So it was a really great experience and a wonderful opportunity to get a lot of fans who otherwise wouldn't be invited to one of these. So it was fantastic.
Why do you feel like it's important to have fans at an event like that, and also fans in costume at an event like that?
Because these films are made for them. This is what it's all about. And of course, we enjoy all the energy they bring, of course.
We feed off it.
We really do, we really do. I mean, this is for them.
That's how we stay alive.
This is basically our thank you to the fans for supporting us through the years. You know, we want to give them this special experience, and we're glad to be able to do it and continue to do it.
So with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker being the end of the Skywalker saga, how does it change your experience being a fan watching the film now that you also work at Lucasfilm and it is part of your day-to-day?
I didn't actually know anything about the movie. Somehow I work in PR and I was able to avoid most spoilers. I didn't read the script, I chose not to, and I was glad not to.
After seeing The Rise of Skywalker, I was like, I have so many more ideas now for like what we could tell stories on, because it just introduced so much more lore to the Star Wars galaxy, and it's like so unexplored. And it's really not my job to create these stories, it's more so my job to manage those stories afterwards, but I'm like so excited. I can't wait to really get into what does this mean? What does that mean? Like, what are we gonna do with all this new information?
I think another really exciting thing about Jedi Fallen Order is this long, non-linear, interactive experience that feels one way. Then you go watch Mandalorian and it's just so personal. And then you go to Rise of Skywalker and it's just epic, and the scale is incredible, and every possible thing you could imagine is there and then some. And it just reminds you how many possibilities there are for storytelling. And so I think there's lots of great stuff to come.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was amazing to hear all of these different perspectives from .com and from story and from games and from PR, and also just from a bunch of fans getting together and getting to talk about Star Wars for a little bit.
Totally.
That was a fun little show.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, coming in hot. Look who decided to join us. You know, man, I can't tell if it's cool or pathetic that you're still wearing your wardrobe from your cameo, your small cameo in The Mandalorian.
Bro, you know they blew you up after like 3 seconds after you rolled on screen? You're canonically dead in that outfit.
Yeah, Mr. Big Shot Hollywood guy hitting shins thinks he's the king of Star Wars now, huh?
You have a trailer? Should we end the show?
Sure.
We hope you enjoyed the new and improved Star Wars show, and would love to hear what you think in the comments below. Plus, if you have any ideas for what you want to see on this new extended version, let us know.
Also remember to check out This Week in Star Wars, starting tomorrow and continuing every Thursday for the Star Wars news and information you crave.
And as always, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and until we see you again next month, stay cool, my babies.
Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
I like this clap that you were doing.
This is
like excited Anthony / seal.
Yeah, like a toddler. I'm excited like a toddler for this new thing, and I hope that you are too.
How does he even get up the steps into a trailer?
If he has a trailer and an elevator, I'm gonna be so mad.
What if he just has like a real beefy dude standing there to lift him into the door?
You've been asking for that for years.
I know!
And they won't give it to you, they give it to him?